3, 2, 1, and we're live with another edition of Notes on the News, where I read to you headlines from my news feed so we can get a survey of what's going on in the news, and I talk to you about my thoughts and perspective and ideas on those headlines so that we could try to start to continue to piece things together and understand what's going on in the world and how to thrive and survive and be productive and be happy. Welcome on the chat. Thanks for the likes. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Share, like, comment, subscribe. All of those things are much appreciated and help to build the channel to the next target of 1,000 charter subscribers. So if you are one of the first 1,000 charter subscribers, I thank you. And remember, today is the best day ever. Don't let none of this I'm about to say distract you from that. Let us stay focused. Today is the best day ever. Good afternoon, Yappa Yappa. Mutual Admiration Society in the house. Okay, let's go. And I may have to leave suddenly because I gotta go. So I'm just like I'm trying to get it in where I can fit it in. You know how that is sometimes. Okay, let me see if I can get to it. Dang, it was something I want to say before but I can't. Let's go. Why black family was forced to leave hotel. I'll keep my mouth shut. You don't have to keep your mouth shut. I'll catch up. It's just this week tends to be a little crazy for me. Why black family was forced to leave hotel after racist treatment. This is in Seattle. I've never been to Seattle. I have an impression of Seattle as a place where there are a lot of mixed race people. Yep, that's the only impression I have. I think that I hear that there's good seafood there and that there's good, you can get like good, wholesome quality food, even if you don't eat fish, but that, there's it's a food culture. I like food, but, yeah. So, even in, I don't even know, I'm kind of like Seattle and then I'm like, I guess, I don't know. But anyway, I didn't read the article. I just read the headline. Find out why the Smithsonian Museum had to move Michelle Obama's portrait. I was like, oh, Lord, are the people vandalizing it? It was on the first floor. They had to move it on the third floor because they had to move it to the third floor because they've gotten such a flood of people wanting to come see the portrait that I guess the people just be standing in the doorway looking. So they had to try to create, I just saw that they moved it from the first to the third because of traffic. But I can imagine if it's right, it can create a log jam. So you got to try to increase the flow. Maybe some of the people will go see something else along the way, not just come in and come out trying to see Shelly from Chi-Town. Chi-Town Shelly. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Queen Sugar sprinkles May 2-night season debut. I love Queen Sugar. So the other day we were talking about somebody and it was like Queen South in the thing, but I think the show is called Queen. Oh, Remy Ma is going to be on a show called Queen of the South, which is different from Queen Sugar. I've never seen Queen of the South. I think it's like gangstery, but I love Queen Sugar. There are a lot of things I love about it. I love, I think it's one thing that I think is really interesting about it is the family. It's a black family that owns land. There are some people who are trying to get the land from them who have historically owned the land and not only own that land, but own that family. And so I just think that that's like a very like American dynamic. And I think, we could be looking at the people who owned our family all day, every day and never know that. Who owned, because you can't own somebody and nobody is a slave. We're gonna get better on that. But who thought they owned our family, who imprisoned our families, who abused our families, we would never know. Wow. We might be like, this is a good white person. One of my husbands, they used to talk about the good white people. The ones who give you their good hand-me-downs and they good used cars and give you them good jobs and the good white people. But them good, anyway, let me keep it moving. But I love the act. Like, I think there's just visually, it's really, really interesting. Even though it's a TV show, it feels like a film. Oh, speaking of which, I saw A Wrinkle in Time last night. I don't know if I'm going to do a review. Visually, speaking of visuals, there was a lot that was really interesting. There were a lot of things that I thought really, really worked well, just in terms of like it's not sound effects, but like the visual effects, I was kind of like, some of it was really awesome and amazing to me. And some of it I did not like. And I really did not like whoever did Oprah Winfrey's makeup, whoever the concept, I just was not a fan of it. You know, there's this movie, dang, it was like and I had read the children's books. It was a Hunger Games. I feel like the makeup in Hunger Games was awesome. And I don't know, that's the only time I've noticed makeup and been like, wow. And then, which is funny because I'm a Mary Kay consultant. I'm like, look, just buy some lipstick or buy some mascara. If you buy it from somebody else, buy it from me. Come get this skincare, try it. Let me know what you think. But it ain't, you know. But anyway. Okay, so Queen Sugar will be back in May with a 2-night debut, season 3. An Olympian was so broke a few years ago that he had to steal apples from his gym. Here's the money lesson he learned since. Now, this article, I was reading something on Facebook last night about Frederick Douglass talking about how the slave masters use hunger as a technique, you know, as part of their oppression strategy. And there were 2 things from that article that were interesting to me. One thing was this whole idea of feast and famine. So people are starving, and then you're like, okay, it's time to have a party, and people just eat and stuff themselves. And I feel like we still kind of have that tradition going a little bit. And I think those extremes are a little bit like, you know, it's not really like the healthiest. I noticed it when I started doing cleanses. I would come off my cleanses when I first started, and I'd be like, oh, it's midnight on the day I'm finished with my cleanse. You know, and it was like, I'm not saying that I undid everything that I did in the cleanse, but it was like cuckoo crazy. And then over time, I got calmer. Like, I might be able to wait till the next morning to work and then to eat. And then it even got to the point where, you know, I'd break a cleanse and it would be like, I didn't really do anything different, you know, but that just came over time. And I guess with, you know, some more emotional maturity regarding my food. But I think that whole feast and famine thing is, you know, there's something like we got to get balance with that. And I think, you know, so I think as a community, we have to get balance with that. And, you know, and then the other part of it was that he said in the article was talking about the fact that they would have contests to see, oh, we gonna bet on which Negro is gonna drink the most, and encourage the Black people to drink, you know, and encourage the Black people to get inebriated, like drunk, like effed up, like messed up, like really like drunk, like, you know. And if you were like, oh, like me, I don't drink. Oh, I'm not gonna have anything. Oh, you're ungrateful. You know, like the pressure and the to drink, like how that was like part of the culture. Now, I don't know if that was like, you know, of course, culture is, you know, hit or miss. It's not like across the board. Even in our culture, everybody don't do everything the same. But that was just like an interesting, I guess, I don't know. It was like a new concept to me. So, these little silk scarves from South Africa, I tell you, they just, but when I was reading that article, I started to think, and I had read this book, a couple years ago on chicken as it relates to Black people, like this, you know, like on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, how Croy's wife said, you know, they had the footage pulled up. Oh, I don't want to sit around and eat chicken with Nene. Like, you know, code word, like, you know, Black people eat chicken, Black people, whatever. And kind of, it was a book that was talking about the history of that. And one of the things about, you know, people stealing food. And it was kind of like, it kind of offended me then. And I think increasingly I'm offended by the concept of people stealing food. I feel like, okay, first of all, when I was reading it in the context of Frederick Douglass and in the book on chicken, it's like, you done stole me. You stealing my labor. You stealing my culture. You stealing my dignity. I mean, you out here just stealing, and I'm hungry, and I'm taking this daggone chicken if that's what I need, if that's what I feel that I need to do. And no, I don't believe it's stealing. I just don't even, I feel like it's not quite entrapment, but it's something dishonest to me in using the word stealing in that context. And I feel the same way. Like if your constant companion is hunger and you do what you have to do to get food, I feel like that's like just being a damn human being. That's how I feel. And so I feel like if this child or this, I'm assuming it's a child because it's an Olympian. Most Olympic people are young. If this child was hungry and they got them some apples from the Olympic Center, I just feel like it's a crime that somebody is in a state where they have to steal. I'm just offended by the whole concept. We just need a whole nother word for that. Because I feel like nobody should even be hungry. To the point, like, if you out here stealing because you hungry, I don't even think that's stealing. We need a whole new word for that. So anyway, that's what came up for me. Edward C. Williams, first Black professional librarian in the United States. I have all these dream jobs, and for some reason, librarian is one of them. Like, I'm like, oh, I would love to be a librarian. I would love to, like, curate like a collection of books and like put them all together and find authors here and there and like things from history and things current and things throughout the world and like on a particular subject matter. Like, it just sounds really like interesting and exciting to me, and like to read and to study and so anyway, yay ancestor Edward C. Williams, the first Black professional librarian in the United States. And I don't know what it means to be a professional librarian. It seemed like this person made their transition before they could get their PhD in library studies, but I'm not really sure. Cecile Front-Coutaz exiting as CEO of Fremantle Media to head YouTube in Europe. Books. Lord have mercy. So I saw something where the woman was leaving. She's like one of the few prominent women in this field of like media, I guess. Like, I'm not really clear on what goes on behind the scenes. I just consume the stuff and watch the TV. I don't know who's creating it. I don't know what their values are. I don't know what they look like. I don't know anything about them. They just put the stuff on TV and I just consume it. So anyway, this woman is apparently one of the few women who is at the level, at like high level in this film. And so there was one article I saw where it was like she left. No one, but then this article said she left Fremantle. I don't even know what Fremantle is. But I bet you some of the shows I watch are produced by Fremantle or connected to Fremantle. And she went to YouTube Europe. So, she ain't, I guess she making money moves. She might be wearing bloody shoes. Man dies after trapping head in seat of UK movie theater. View launches investigation. So I guess View is the brand of the theater. Now this theater I went to, it's an Imagine. I think that's the brand of the theater I went to yesterday. And they have, when we got there, they're like, oh, well, we only have 2 seats, but they don't fully recline. I'm like, fully recline? We just watching the movie. We ain't going to bed, we ain't here to fully recline. But sure enough, and I've been to the theater before, but I didn't even realize. I guess I never paid. I don't know. I guess I never fully reclined, because when we came in, I'm like, oh, those seats are fully reclined. So I guess you could just lay out in the movie theater. But anyway, the person was reaching for their phone or something, and their head got caught in the thing, and now he's made his transition. That does not sound like a fun night at the movies. Like, what in the world? But anyway, they're investigating. It's probably some like weird fluky thing you wouldn't even think to test for. Like, ooh, what happens is, let's test this. If someone reaches here, can they get their head, their neck broken? So anyway, rest in peace for that person. That sounds like a freak accident. I don't know what the situation is, but I'm like, who would know that was going to happen? I don't know. But anyway, rest in peace. Families of the ISIS India victims learned of deaths on television. So we were talking about it yesterday. They probably didn't learn about it on notes on the news. About, I think it was like 45, 39, 49 people who had been missing in India. Because I'm like, I ain't never heard nothing about India and ISIS. But this is, so anyway, the family say they saw it on the TV. All the government's been telling them is that we think they're alive. We have hope. We have hope. We have hope. We're still looking for them. They still alive. And then all of a sudden they see on TV that they're dead. And the people's position who reported it said, our first obligation is to tell Parliament what happened. Our first obligation is not to tell the families what happened. So boo-hoo-hoo, I'm sorry for you. They need to have a whole different system, because, I don't think you should. I don't think it's better to find out That's a horrible way to find out something like that. Yeah, oh, that's what I was going to talk about. I don't think it's good to find out, I don't think it's like, especially, I don't know. I just feel like some deaths is kind of like it, like, it's not like this is the perfect way to tell someone that their family member has passed away. And then once you tell them this way, they're going to be happy. I mean, because it's just like but anyway, it's disrespect. I think it's disrespectful, and it's not cool. I was reading an article in the New Yorker. This is on Facebook too, about elders. And it just kind of like stressed me out. I was like, what in the world? It was focusing on this family. It's like breaking up with someone in a text message. Disrespectful. And just backwards. Like who, what? I mean, it's disrespectful. Like who does that? But this, it was talking about this couple, like an older couple. They were living together. They said the husband, daddy would get up and he would read in the morning. He liked to think about what he read or whatever, and his wife was a little slower getting out of bed, but she would, and then all of a sudden his wife had people who came to the house a couple of days a week to help her with stuff. She had some physical something going on, but it was affecting how she was feeling emotionally. But they would, so anyway, somebody come knock on the door and talking about, it's time for you to move. You got, gather up your bags. We're taking you to a old folks home. And they're like, what, huh? What's going on? This person done went, this is in Arizona, done went and got custody of these two people. They didn't even know anybody was trying to get custody for them, saying that they were not competent to live on their own. Now they're living on their own. They're not competent to live on their own. It's a company, and apparently there are other companies that just go out and get custody of elders. They got custody of the people, put them in a home, sold a house, and they just in the business of doing that. These people had a child who came to visit them on a regular basis. So she showed up at the house, knocked on the door. Well, where mama and daddy? Why is the kitchen window closed? They always keep the kitchen window cracked. When the people were leaving, one of their neighbors was like, is everything okay? And the man said that he was so embarrassed that he was like, oh, we're just going away for a little while. We'll be back. He didn't say, help, I'm being kidnapped. Because it was just kind of like, what, huh? I don't understand. And the woman was like, it's legal. It's legal. Just pack your belongings. Let's go. Let's get a move on it. So they at the old folks home, the daughter come trying to find out where they are. She like, well, sometimes they run errands. The longest errand that they run is to Costco. So she ran out to Costco, looking for her parents, don't see her parents, can't really figure out what's going on. Come back to the house. They're not there. She don't know what's going on. In the rush of them, come on, get your stuff. Let's go. We're moving. They done left their cell phones. They ain't got their cell phones. The daughter can't reach them. She doesn't know what's going on. I think she come back the next day. It's a sign on the door saying, in case of emergency, contact so-and-so. Hello? Yes, I have legal custody of them, and they're at so-and-so. Now, they done moved her family, for her mama and daddy, 40 minutes away from where they were living. And it's like, it's legal. It was awful. And it was just an awful story. And it was very long, but I think that we should all read it in the New Yorker. It made me nervous for like my people. And it was just like, it was the New Yorker. I can't remember what it's called. It's on my Facebook page, but it was awful. Like, and it's like, I guess they have a whole system going. And when the child was calling to complain, like, how you gonna just get custody of my parents? She's like, it's legal. And then charged her $200 for the call and for her belligerence, for being upset because this woman, this stranger who did not know them, had taken custody of her mother and her father. And the mother and the father did not even know that they were a problem. And it was like one temporary worker who had, I guess they were in cahoots. Like she probably just, they probably just have all kinds of people who are in the business of doing it. Yeah, that was it. Is it time for me to go? It's very disconcerting. And it kind of made you, it was disconcerting. Families, and it was like, you've just felt the sense of the factory in the same way that, they have factories to lock us up. they have where, the judge get, $100 for every young boy young black guy he send off, to the system or whatever. It's like they have factories for these things, and I think these were like, for all intents and purposes, I'm just assuming these were some old white people in Arizona. Not even, and like they had, like their home was valued at like $50,000, or their home and property and assets. But some of the other people that she had were like 180,000. She had this particular business woman had over 100 wards. Like, she just out here robbing people. Like, that's her business. That's her job. Kidnapping people. And then they didn't have clothes. Like, like as the story went on, the person was like, they could tell the people at that particular home that were wards of this particular woman, because they would like wear the same clothes. And when they asked for like clothes, she's like, you're on a tight budget. You're on a strict budget. Meanwhile, his wife, who was slow getting out of bed, when she would get out of bed, she would get up and put herself together. Like, she was very conscientious. And so when she ain't had, she's used to putting herself, and so she had plenty of clothes, but this woman done sold them, threw them away. Global implications for New Zealand $1 million mouse success. So I guess this mouse that was in New Zealand was like, they say it was not native to the community, and it was causing, it was like a predator for some other things that were on the island. And so they finally gotten rid of this mouse through insecticides and, other things. She was killing the people and burying them in her yard and taking their Social Security money. I was shocked that this woman had, I think if the daughter didn't come by every week, the daughter might have come by every day. But it was like, I know these are some people that don't have no people, but they had people. That was the thing that really just kind of shocked me. So anyway, they getting rid of this mouse, and they've gotten rid of this mouse in New Zealand, and they think it's a big success. But what was interesting to me is that the mouse kind of seemed like a colonizer. Like, the mouse had come in, wasn't native to the area, and it just wreaked all sorts of havoc on the natural, on the community, the system that they had, the ecosystem that they had there. And so now they got rid of it. They had to poison it, and it was like hard for them to get rid of it. And I don't know how I feel about them. She don't know. Your girl don't know nothing. The people gonna tell me. I don't know how I feel about them getting rid of the mouse, because I feel like, well, a mouse is natural, but maybe every mouse ain't natural to everywhere. I don't know. But I thought the idea of like, just like, some people would say that like some of the white people, they just came uninvited into the community and just wreaked all sorts of hell and havoc. And it's just hard as hell to get rid of them. How you get rid of them? Where you going to send them? Now, they done killed these mice. So I don't know. Yeah. Germany returns 3,000-year-old Olmec statues to Mexico. And the art dealer said that he had got them through legitimate, sources. And it was a 10-year battle. I don't know why it's a 10-year battle, but it was a 10-year battle. And like, what are the legitimate sources for buying somebody's history and culture? Like, legitimate to who? Who legitimized that bug? I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. Amara La Negra wanting a smaller butt. Now, I guess maybe because I'm not like the big butt woman. Hey, beautiful, what's the 411? I guess because I'm not like the big butt woman. Somebody once told me, women like you who have a small waist and big hips. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not. But anyway, I think he was just trying to gas me up. But I never believed that. I'm like, they don't want a smaller butt. That's incredible. I don't believe it. But anyway, she said she wanted a smaller butt, and she's talking about repping Afro Latinas and loving her Afro. So, yeah, that's it. But she has a brand. I thought that was interesting. On her video, you see the ALN, the women on one video. I haven't seen the new video, but the women are wearing her swimwear brand. I guess I didn't know she sold swimwear, or maybe they just put the logo on the stuff and, Sky reveals men earn 11.5% more than women as pay TV firm publishes UK gender pay gap figures. So this is interesting because I guess this whole gender inequality conversation, we're having a conversation in the United States. In the United Kingdom, in Britain, they done gave surveys to all of the people. It seemed like asking how much you make, and they've done some tabulation, because this is the second article headline that I've seen talking about what exactly the gender disparity is between men and women at this firm and this firm. So it's like they're taking steps. Has anything happened in this country other than talking? I mean, we good for some talking, but has anything happened to try to because we used to have, what was that thing called? The Equal Pay Amendment, ERA, I don't know what it was. It was something like back in the day that Gloria Steinem and women used to be like, yes. And that, I don't think that ever got passed. It's like, pay women equally. Oh, hell no. No. So anyway, I just think it's interesting. And they say it's 11.5% more just in regular, pay. The men make more. But when you add in bonuses, I think it was 40.5%. So again, usually in the positions where people are getting bonuses now, from my experience, I never knew about people who worked at Walmart getting $1,000 bonuses, but I knew about people who worked on Wall Street getting $100,000 bonuses. But so usually I'm thinking of bonuses as something that's people who, big money, so that makes the disparity even more in a way. Kabul Saki Shrine, dozens dead in New Year attack. And I guess they've had several attacks at this particular shrine. I guess it's a big Kabul shrine. Kabul. I don't know if it's a Muslim Islamic shrine. I don't really know. If I have to run off, I do want to say that supposedly the Austin bomber guy has been found. They say that he blew himself up. As they got, as the net got tighter on him, he blew himself up. Now, y'all know I'm always suspicious when the guilty one is dead, because I kind of feel like, did they just kill somebody and then say that's the killer? But I mean, I guess time will tell or show. But I don't even know if time will tell or show. But anyway, so that, and there was something else that was, so if I don't come across it before I have to go, I'll let you know. Needs go unmet 6 months after Maria hit Puerto Rico. And again, it was kind of distressing to read. And also every time I read about Puerto Rico, I'm like, what about the U.S. Virgin Islands where people are browner and blacker? What's going on there? I want an update about that too. When the hurricanes first happened, Alexa said you still have an hour. When the hurricanes, I was trying not to say her name. You caught me. I was going to say, I ain't studying her. I'll trust her behind anyway. When the hurricanes first happened, I would occasionally in some of the reports see something about the U.S. Virgin Islands, but now I don't. But then I'm not reading. I'm just looking at the headline. So maybe buried in the article. I think I might have read this article. But, so as migration to South Africa swells, one man helps bridge cultural divides. Now, this is talking about it seems to be black African migration to South Africa. South Africa, my sense of it is that is one of the wealthier, more European places in Africa. Like Nigeria, I think has some wealth. It seems to be a very, they're kind of like India, or New York, the haves and the have-nots. There seems to be but it was more extreme in India than New York. I think it's probably extreme in Nigeria in the same way where you have or you don't have in terms of material things. There's a big gap. So I don't know, I thought they were talking about these white folks who want to leave, South Africa. But no, they're talking about black folks who are trying to go to South Africa. Why Scandal star was released from jail after serving 1 month of a 1-year sentence. Now, this, I think, was Columbus Short, who I think he was accused of beating or, I'm not really clear about him. And I did watch Scandal maybe a season or something but not closely. Like, so I'm not really clear. But I think that there was a black man who got kicked off the show for being kind of like having like a crazy personal life and bringing too much negative press to the people. It's like it's like something going on with the dogs. So I don't know if this is him. I think that it's him. Because I saw him on something and he was like doing stage plays. And had done some movie, but I don't follow him well enough. So I don't know why he only served 1 month of a 1-year sentence. Yeah, and I don't know if that's just how like these sentences work. Because I think even when you get like, you've got 50 years, you might get out early for good behavior. I don't know how all of that stuff works. So I don't know if that's like unusual or if I don't know. Police department with troubled history shot unarmed Stephen Clark 20 times. Stephen Clark is the young man we were talking about yesterday who was shot and killed in his grandmother's backyard. Now, this story was a little bit different from the story that I read yesterday. Like, some of the details were different. But I just wanted to say his name. And, again, just wishing, that he would rest in peace, and just, the 7-year-old girl that was in the house, and the grandmother and the grandfather, and, just the community, just like prayers and peace, out to all of them and to all of us. And then I was just going to say 20 times. Who needs to shoot an unarmed person 20 times? Now, when I talked about it yesterday, for some reason, I had the impression that he had like a crowbar in his hand, but apparently I'm hearing again and again it was a phone. Yeah, and it was 2 cops and each one shot 10 times. They're saying that they don't know how many times he was actually hit, but I guess that each of their guns discharged 20 bullets. So again, just Stephen Clark, Stephon Clark. Men earn 18.9% more than women at BBC Worldwide following gender pay audit. So that's what they've been doing. They've been doing gender pay audits. So here's the BBC reporting their numbers. I ain't seen no numbers reported for companies in the United States. Has anybody surveyed you about your income? People are very sensitive about keeping that stuff private. And for a while, I was like on that bandwagon because it was like, that's how I was trained. Like, you never discuss salary. Like, that's just, you go in and you negotiate and you never discuss. And, I'm like trying to rethink and reorient to that because I feel like that's like part of that whole, that I think that's some bull. But anyway, Pope Francis, Vatican chief, resigns over doctored letter. So they published a letter that one pope had written to another pope, I think, and some of it was blurred out. And apparently that's against the rules, which kind of surprised me. They're like, it's distorting the story, and so this person had to resign. The Catholic Church. There's a whole conversation there. We're not going to have it. Lawsuit after Malaysian flag reported an ISIS symbol in U.S. Okay, as a Malaysian flag was reported as an ISIS symbol in the U.S. So it was like it seemed like it was like a smaller airline, and they had like like how sometimes people in like condominium complexes will have like community houses. It's like, where you can rent it out or whatever. It seemed like he worked for an airline and he had rented out the space, and they were having like a Malaysian New Year celebration. Yay. It's Malaysian New Year. We got the Malaysian flag up and we celebrating. And some people saw the flag and they're like, reported that someone had defaced an American flag with an ISIS symbol. But it was the Malaysian flag. And so, it became a whole, I don't know exactly, it became some drama. I guess just the regular ignorance leads to drama. And so now he is suing. That's the Malaysian flag there. Now, one time I like Googled like flags, and I was just looking at flags because I was kind of curious because it seemed like a lot of Caribbean flag, like it seemed like a lot of Black and Caribbean flags were like red, black, green, and yellow. Have y'all ever noticed that? They seem to have like the same colors. And then I noticed a lot of other flags were like red, white, and blue. And stars. And, like it seemed like if you look at flags, a lot of times the symbols and stuff look similar. So when you look at a list, it's to me sometimes like I see a flag and like on the quad. Yes, on the quad, I was like, oh, is he Puerto Rican? But he was from Texas. So for some reason in my head, I guess the Puerto Rican flag and the Texas flag look alike. Now I'd have to Google to see if they even do, but the FBI was alerted that the employee were displaying what was described as the U.S. flag defaced. So they were being sued. As Spirit Boeing Employees Association of racial profiling and blatant religious discrimination. Indian Malaysian ancestry with several women wearing hijabs. Oh my God, the women get their hair covered. We know that's some dangerous stuff there. As dangerous probably as like seeing a woman's thighs or cleavage. I mean, oh my gosh. So anyway, the employee association has made no comment. I guess they like, we stand by it. That's a daggone United States flag defaced with some ISIS stuff. They don't want to hear, I guess. Jay-Z helping transform criminal justice system with this innovative investment. It's some kind of app. And I read it, but I don't know. Yeah, so he has some app that's I think it like tracks when you're supposed to appear in court, something. I don't even remember. But we know that, he's done a couple of films on Trayvon Martin and on Khalif Browder. And I haven't seen either one of them. Has anybody seen them? Should I like really go out of my way? I mean, I want to see them, but I just haven't gone out of my way to see them. But I want to see them. Package with N-word and Black Barbie left in mailbox for 7-year-old girl. So the grandma, she don't usually go to the mailbox. I haven't even seen them. She don't usually go to the mailbox. She went to the mailbox, and it's like Christmas paper, red and white, something like it looks happy, and and she turned it over and it said NIGGER and some other stuff on it, and it was like a black Barbie doll. And she like, now usually my granddaughter get the mail because I have mobility issues, but I just happened to get it today. I don't know where it was. Kaepernick backlash at Ole Miss and NFL means colonizers won't let black men be free on the sports plantation. Now, this is by the same guy who wrote that article. Remember, I told you he said he'd been being violently light-skinned for a long time. He wrote some article, and I noticed it, and I read the whole article, and I thought it was like well-written, but interesting, sassy. Like there's somebody else who wrote an article about the big joker and the little joker, and I thought it was so funny. Like, which joker is the big joker? Is it the big one that's colorful, or is it the little one that says guarantee? We all know the answer is the big one that's colorful, but there was a whole lawsuit and everything. It wasn't a real lawsuit, but it was a very clever, and this article was like very cleverly written, although it's a serious subject. So there's a new coach at Ole Miss who's coaching college basketball. I wonder how much that program makes. Is that one of those programs where they're making a whole bunch of money, and then of course all the people who are doing the labor are young black folks, where all of these white people are eating off of and benefiting off of and getting rich off of the labor of black folks? Is this, I'm sure this is. So anyway, he the new coach there, and he talking to the fellas. So, come on, gather around, gather up. So we gonna play good basketball, and we gonna take care of the basics. We gonna, pass the ball and dribble, or, whatever. I don't know what they be saying. And we gonna respect the flag. And they like, the person who wrote the article is like, ain't nobody even really kneeling in college basketball. They don't even have an issue with what is he talking about? It's like a dog whistle. Like, I guess he's, and I never thought of, I guess here recently now I'm like, oh, so these college coaches are probably as well off, or like it's probably as profitable a position as being a professional coach almost. Like I thought, oh, high school coach, college coach, pro. But the college coach and the pro coaches, they probably up there making the big money running these plantations. And he said they won't let us be free. I believe freedom is a state of mind. So I think we all free. We just have to, claim and embrace our freedom. So, you can enslave my body, but I'm free. You don't own my mind. You don't own my spirit. You don't own my soul. You don't own my ancestors. Scary video of NFL brothers brawling naked in apartment lobby. I agree with you on that. So these are some brothers and they're fighting and they're naked in the lobby of an apartment building. I don't know who they are, but they say it's a scary video. I don't know what's going on. Report: Twitter violates human rights by failing to protect women. Women and black folks have been complaining about how these white male trolls are just very, very aggressive. And we saw it with the comedian from Saturday Night Live who's really into the Olympics. They got from Twitter, they got into her phone, pulled naked pictures off, published her driver's license. They got very aggressive with that woman. The one who has the commercial where she like, oh, I'm glad you're here. You flirting with me? And it's like we're all supposed to laugh because she's supposed to be so big, black, and ugly that won't nobody want her. That commercial get on my daggone nerves. A huge healthcare company with a key role in drug pricing just had a meltdown when one of its contracts was posted online. So I think I skimmed the article, but I think basically what it's talking about is the fact that, a whole bunch of people a whole bunch of industries be eaten off of us being on these drugs, on these pharmaceutical drugs, and how they benefit on all these different levels from, selling and pushing, drugs on us. Oh, you got high blood pressure. Oh, you got the diabetes. Oh, you got what else do we be having? Is it just high blood pressure and diabetes? Oh, I had a friend who had upset stomach. No, it was called something else. I can't remember, but the different, you got the lactose intolerance. You don't take drugs for that. You just buy special milk. I don't know. But anyway, they be eating off of, not just the pharmaceutical companies, but it's like all kinds of industries built around making money off of the sales of pharmaceuticals. That's what I think. So something got published and it kind of exposed. And they like, take it down. And people are like, oh, so you was getting a little nervous there. 5 things to know about Austin bombing suspect, whatever his name is. We're not saying his name. Witnesses: Boko Haram. Oh, that was what I was going to say. Returns Nigerian kidnapped schoolgirls. So I think it was like 110 girls who were taken within the last month. I think 101 of them are back. So most of them are back. So that's, that's exciting. I guess. I guess it's progress. Now I'm like, well, where are the other girls at? What happened to them? I'm concerned about that. And then also, I thought that I've heard before that I think Boko Haram translates to something like Western education is bad. What I read in this article is when they brought the girls back, they just brought them back. They put them in the center of town and then they're like, let this be a lesson to you. Don't be sending them girls to school. And I was just like, oh, is that why they've been taking the girls from schools? Because they don't want girls to have educated? Like, I don't know. I mean, Leslie Jones, yes, they give us everything but meds to manage pain. Moving on, I was commenting on things back. Yeah, I got you. Leslie Jones is the comedian from Saturday Night Live, who they went after her on Twitter. Or I think it was through Twitter, but I don't, but yeah, so I'm like kind of like a little shook, like, I guess in the same way that a lot of people are opposed to black folks, read, like even the Frederick Douglass piece about him I was reading, it was like somebody had taught him his letters. And then when the people found out that he knew the alphabet, they was like, stop it, don't teach him anymore. And they ain't teach him anymore. But he'd take his bread and he'd give it to somebody else, to a little poor, hungry white child, to teach him more. It was like it was already, he was already in the process. But, this idea of like, I guess how important it is to be literate, to be educated, to be exposed to things, to be able to think critically and you know. Dang. Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, the first black labor union chartered by the American Federation of Labor. I think it's time. Is it too late? I know. Are y'all ready? Is it too late?
We're going to get the girls first.
Okay.
I'll take you.
Okay. Okay, so we got that. 5 things to know about Austin. The Brotherhood of the Sleeping Car Porters, the first black labor union chartered by the American Federation of Labor. Y'all know the American Federation, yeah, the time went and came, and it's not, I did my part, but, you know, you can only do what you can do. So, you know that the AFL-CIO, American Federation of Labor, AFL, I think that's the AFL-CIO, I don't know who they are, but you know all of them are, not to say that black folks weren't organizing before the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, because I'm sure that we have been, we are. But, you know, this was the first one to get chartered by, or whatever by. And, like, does their chartering make it, like, more legit? Or I don't know. I'm just kind of, I guess, you know, white people get on my nerves today, or that whole system of like, you know, oh, the racist people accepted us, so now we legit. No, we not legit now. That don't have nothing to do, you know, with whatever. Black television exec resigns following accusations of reverse racism and discrimination. So, you know, they're out here doing, you know, what they do. So I think it was a woman, but I'm not really sure. Yep, look at it. It's a woman. They say boss Camille Edwards resigns. So they say, you know, she out here, you know, not hiring people, not promoting people because they white and or men. I guess that's what they're advancing. Black man gets outrageous 152-year sentence for shooting at police officer and missing. Okay. Package bomb that exploded at FedEx facility was intended for Austin home. Canada introduces new gun control measures. So I guess Canada don't have as many murders, although they say Toronto has the most. I spent time in Toronto. Canada doesn't have as many. Maybe he should have shot 20 times, right? And then I feel like once you give somebody 152 years, it's kind of like, what you gonna give them, 892 years, you know? So, I mean, I guess if they give you time in jail, I guess if you're alive, that's better than them killing you. But I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. Because I'm like, should we, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I just feel like we got to keep reading, studying, teaching, analyzing. And, you know, maybe people say you have analysis paralysis. I don't know. But I feel like we got to get our critical thinking sharp so that we can really, truly analyze what's going on and not be distracted by BS, not be distracted by symptoms, but see through to the root of the issue and address the root of the issue. Right. Don't worry. You'll probably only get half of that, 75 years, 76 years. But get through to, like, you know, be able to analyze. It's like it's easy to get distracted, and you know it's so much. It's easy to get distracted, and like if your mind is not strong, it's even easier to get distracted. And I feel like our minds, we need to continue to work on strengthening our minds. We need to continue to work on strengthening, you know, our spirits. You know, we need to continue to do the work of strengthening ourselves so we can see stuff for what it is and stand by and stand with and be about truth. You know, and the babies, I just feel like I don't know what the answer is, but except for them, you know, because we gonna be gone, and they gotta keep working, keep fighting, keep figuring it out. So Canada has you know, they're not as violent as the United States, but they're more violent than Europe. And I don't know. Oh, well, they were saying that there are a lot of like rural people who like keep guns and stuff in Canada. So I don't know if that causes, you know, more violence, because it's like if you out in the rural part, you know, and you keep guns. I mean, I don't know if it's just because there are like more guns around that there's more violent killings. I don't know. But anyway, they're introducing some new gun control measures. Michael B. Jordan. Oh, well, why didn't you say? I'm so confused. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I gotta make a phone call in the middle of a live. It's not like when you're recording a video when you can put it on pause. Are you outside? Okay, I'll come out. All right, bye. All right, so that's it for this edition of Notes on the News. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience. Sorry it's choppy. Again, I'm just trying to like, it's a lot of moving pieces today. So, positive vibes. Shouted you out on my last share. Much love and respect. Hey, welcome to the, welcome as a subscriber. I always want to call you a Neb because I know I'm Mama a Neb here. But thank you all for being here. Peace and much love. And thank you for your support and all of that other good stuff. Be you, be fabulous. Be fabulous, you.